Continue our story on Cybertron, the birthplace of every Cybertronian, but with everything being peaceful at the moment, or at least that's what it looks like on the surface. You see, we will look closer, and there's a warship, the Thunderwing, a monstrous like Decepticon warship, much more intimidating and seemingly much more threatening than the Nemesis itself. And this is where we see its crew. Tarn, Bludgeon, and Sunder, all getting ready for their raid on Cybertron. Tarn just wants to know who killed Optimus. It's a very simple mission, after all. But considering Cybertron is revived, and he's heard Decepticons making peace with the Autobots, this is where Sunder simply asks him, "So, boss, what's the plan when you do end the Decepticon and Autobots' reign?" And this is where Tarn is simply overlooking his destroyers, all of them. This is basically his Viacon army. Nothing but destroyers at this point. And this is where Tarn simply states, once he's over, he'll honor Megatron. He'll honor everything that he did. The good, the bad, and the questionable. No matter what. Megatron was everything the Decepticon cause had. And now to think some wannabe could take over his place? It's laughable. I will be the heir to Megatron's throne. To which Bludgeon simply states, "We're entering Chaon now, sir. Prepare for docking." And so this is where the Thunderwing basically lands at the front of Chaon. And this is where we actually see Sunder be the first to exit. And he looks and states, quite fascinating. All this peaceful scenery. Megatron's statue isn't in the pits anymore. How odd. Was that a part of the Autobots deal? To which Tarn simply states, "Let's get this over with." And as he walks down from the ship, he sees everyone waiting for him. And by everyone, I mean the remaining Decepticons. Dreadwing, Shadow Striker, Thundercracker, and the Combaticons, and a few silver Viacons in the back, considering that was the remaining of the Decepticon army. And this is where Tarn simply states, "Dreadwing. Ah, great. One of Megatron's most loyal followers. Good. Then you're the one in charge. Can't say I don't mind it, but it is what it is. Do you know who killed Megatron?" To which Dreadwing just tries to jump over the attempt, the question here, and simply asks Tarn, "What is he doing here?" He thought he was on planet Char mining for the ore. To which, this is where Tarn simply states, things have gotten slow. All about prisoners and stuff like that. But he wonders, what happened here? Where's Megatron's statue? Is our Lord and Master now with the Allspark? And who did it? To which Dreadwing simply states, "Well, unfortunately, that would be me." Tarn goes quiet for a minute. And then he lunges at Dreadwing, with Dreadwing simply, I guess you say, rolling him off. And this where Tarn states, "You'll pay for what you did. He was our master, our everything, and you betrayed him? You killed him. You killed everything we worked hard for." However, Tarn shot back right into his own troops by Thundercracker, simply stating he was always a sycophant, but always a loyal sycophant. And unfortunately, it's not going to go well for you. And this is where Thundercracker, utilizing his jet boosters, actually creates a sonic boom disorientating the rest of the Decepticons and tries to lunge at, Tarn, trying to at least either blast him again or punch him. However, this is where Bludgeon not only intervenes, but counters his punch or parries it, and then proceeds to use his sword and stabs Thundercracker in the gut. This doesn't kill him, but dang, that was it just barely missed his spark on this one. However, this is where his sword is parried off by Dreadwing, with him telling Shadow Striker to get Thundercracker out of there. And so, we see a masterful performance. Dreadwing versus Bludgeon, both utilizing respective fighting styles of their sword. Dreadwing being the stronger, and Bludgeon being the faster of the two, despite the fact that he is a tank. Why the heck, if you're a ninja, you're using a tank? But I guess, Decepticons have standards. But this is where Tarn simply used this opportunity to try and power up his fusion cannon. But he is shot in the back by Optimus. And keep in mind, this is Optimus 2.0, so Tarn gets knocked away once again. And he simply states, "Sorry for leaving you hanging, Dreadwing," or "Sorry for arriving late, Dreadwing." And so this is where we actually see Team Prime and the remaining Dinobots there. You might ask, where's the Predacons? And they're waiting for their signal. And this is where Optimus simply takes out his sword, or takes out the Star Saber, and with one slash decimates a decent portion of the Destroyer army. Dang, that actually goes kind of hard, not gonna lie. And this is where adding the Dinobots to it as well, they make quick work of any destroyers that get in their way. And considering this factor, and considering all the things that are just going against him, this even allows the silver Viacons to start being able to take down some of the more, I guess you could say, weaker destroyer drones, right? And Tarn sees this and simply states, "Ugh, it shouldn't be happening like this. He's supposed to win." But then he laughs and simply states, "Sunder, now's the time." And so Sunder, utilizing his telepathic abilities, tells the ship to awaken, to destroy everything. And RC looks in absolute horror, saying, "Oh my Primus." And this is where everyone can see Thunderwing. And he begins roaring, and then actually unleashes his fire breath, but doesn't hit anyone close to him. No. He destroys everything else around him. Chaon, the pit, and it even goes out further, destroying some of the buildings in Iacon close by. To which Dreadwing turns to Onslaught. "You know I'm gonna ask you for it." To which Onslaught says, "Well, Commander, it's about time we got to stretch those combiner legs again." But then he turns to the Dinobots. "Wanna help?" To which Slug is like, "Yeah, we got your backs on this one. Together we'll take this bruiser down. Or at least, try, cause dang, this dude is huge." However, this is where Bludgeon tries to lunge at them, stating, "You won't be taking down anything while I'm around." However, Dreadwing catches the blade again with his own, and he simply states in the most badass tone ever, "Your fight is with me, Bludgeon. I will not allow you to destroy my allies, and to destroy everything I built for. This is for the true Decepticon cause." And so Slug gives the command, "Dinobots, transform and annihilate that creature." Meanwhile, at the same time, Onslaught gives his command, "Combaticons, combine into Bruticus." And well, this is where we see it. The Dinobots in front of Bruticus is kind of like the most craziest shot you could possibly imagine, and they rush towards the Titan. And this is where we see Predaking, Skylynx, and Darksteel emerging from the rubble from the building they were standing on. To which Skylynx says, "Well, I guess there goes our grand and glorious dive entrance." To which Darksteel's like, "So, can we go now?" To which Predaking says, "No, we wait. Be patient, my brothers." And so this is where Tarn is looking at it. Thunderwing causing carnage, his troops demolishing, most of the silver Viacons. But this is where, before he can say anything, Optimus comes in and straight up hits that man with the same combo he put on Megatron during Dark Melt. Straight up hit him with the 1, the 2, and then the back-fisted 3. However, keep in mind, this is still Tarn. Tarn manages to get his own licks in, trying to get the upper hand on Optimus, telling him he won't win this. Thunderwing has always been his ace in the hole when things got rough. And now, with everything he has, with Sunder, with Bludgeon, and his troops, they're going to erase Iacon and Chaon forever and rebuild stronger than what they were before. However, back with the fight with Thunderwing, he's overwhelming the Dinobots. He's overwhelming the Combaticons. Even with their combined might, it just simply isn't enough. He starts thrashing them, tossing them around. And this is where they even try their coordinated assaults. A sonic pain wave, followed by a full collection of fire breaths, creating actually a devastating firebomb in my opinion. However, Thunderwing unleashes one of his shockwaves, pushing them all back like it's nothing. And this is where Super's like, "Okay, you know what? Now's the time. Please come in. Please help." Immediately. And this is where Predaking, Skylynx, and Darksteel all just dive bomb and begin to basically bombard Thunderwing with every amount of fire breath they have. We have a moment where they get the upper hand, and then they each take 3 different sides to Thunderwing, and then simply hit him with a stream of fire, with the Dinobots taking their sides and hitting him upward, while Bruticus straight up continues blasting him from essentially the middle area. So Thunderwing gets pissed off. He gets angrier and angrier. Not only that, this is when Optimus comes in, utilizing his Star Saber, and he slashes right at Thunderwing, just abandoning his fight with Tarn. And this is where they're trying everything against this guy, and I mean everything. They're throwing everything they have at him. Optimus utilizing his blaster and the Star Saber the best that he can. And again, this is where Tarn lunges at him and pins Optimus to the ground and begins wailing on him. However, Tarn is then knocked away by all three Wreckers, with Ultra Magnus still having a fully functional forge, by the way, Wheeljack, and Bulkhead. And well, yeah, Tarn, come get Jump real quick. I need you to come over here and take this. But we head over to Planet Char, and we head over to the prison pit. Keep in mind, I kind of did change up the prison cast a little bit, so just consider a retcon. Where we see Grimlock working with Jazz, Ironhide, Warpath, Moonracer, Firestar, Perceptor, and Prowl. And all of them are working. However, this is where Moonracer drops to her knees as Scourge simply tases them. And this is where he then goes for Grimlock, tasing him, but Grimlock simply buckles slightly to make it look like he's hurt. And this is where Perceptor simply notes, and he keeps it quiet because, again, they are surrounded by, you know, Viacons and, you know, the Stunticons as well. And this is where he states, "You're getting better, aren't you?" To which Grimlock says, "Yeah, his healing factor kicked in a while ago. He's just biding his time right now until he's at full strength. Should take a couple more minutes." And to which Grimlock simply states, "When they do, they're gonna have to find a way to really get out of here." And so Firestar, actually overhearing them, says there's actually an Ore 13 chamber where you can apply this metal to yourself. It's supposed to, I guess you could say, reignite with something that, you know, has you, or basically makes you special. So you might be the best candidate for it. To which Prowl simply states, "You know what? That actually isn't a bad idea. If Grimlock gets at full strength, he could likely decimate a good majority of it. But right now, we have to wait and bide our time." To which Grimlock simply agrees. He says they'll wait. They'll wait for his team to get here, or whoever they send to rescue them. And maybe, just maybe, they'll have an opening. However, we then go to the control room of Planet Char, and this is where one of the Viacon troopers simply states, "Sir, there's a ship approaching our sector." To which the tank drone simply walks in and is like, "It looks Decepticon enough. Wonder what they could be." And to which, considering Jazz is close enough, he actually overhears this and says, "Alright guys, seems like someone's coming to our rescue, or at least hopefully. He hopes it's not no new Decepticons. Can't wait to actually get out of this place. So sick and tired of working." And that's where Moonracer notes, so when they actually do get out of here and they get repaired, what's the actual plan at the end of it? And to which, this is where Grimlock turns to the young bot and simply states, "Well, when they get out of here, they're gonna go back to Cybertron and end this. Enough fighting, enough of this nonsense." And he's gonna make sure he tears Sunder in half. However, this is where we pan over to the ship that's in orbit. It's a Autobot ship, of course, but it's actually utilizing a Decepticon scanner. But who could it be? What, is there a Decepticon on the ship? No. And also, yes. You see, it's Knockout, Arachnid, and the Predacons, or the Abominus team. See, Arachnid is actually utilizing this opportunity to get in good favor with the Autobots. And, well, just maybe, she wants a place at Callus, whichever it may be. Considering she knows good and well she's still not on good terms with RC, she simply states, alright, they're going to raid the planet and make sure that they get everyone out of there. Understood? To which Hunger simply states, "Good, then we can rescue our father and return to defeat the Tarn Scourge himself." And keep in mind, they're still kind of Predaconish, so they're not too intelligent, but again, they are pretty intelligent. And Knockout simply states, last time he checked, Or-13 was on this planet, meaning that if we could give some of them upgrades, and Arachnid simply smiles, exactly, we would have a significant edge to fully put down Tarn, and maybe, just maybe, actually have peace for once. Are you all ready? To which Ripper Snapper and Twin Strike actually transform into their beast forms along with Blight and Windraiser, all simply stating that they're ready. Crunch, tear, rip. All the things they want to do to the beings that have likely tortured their father figure. They ain't come to play. He raised them kids well. And I do mean very well. And so, this is where Knockout simply states, alright, they're approaching the planet's orbit. So remember the plan. Hard, fast, strong, and intense. All at the same time. So, with that being said, this is where they actually get to the docking port. And we see some of the heavier Vehicons there. With them pretty much saying, sir, they're here. And so, this is where Scourge walks up to them. Actually switching places or switching, positions with Cyclonus. And he simply asks, identify yourself. And so, Arachnid is the first one to walk out the warship. And she says, Scourge, it's been so long. I can't believe it. I can't believe that you're actually here, just on some dead planet. And to which, this is where Scourge brandishes his blade and simply stating, why are you in an Autobot cruiser? Surrender now, and perhaps we would treat you kindly. To which, this is where Arachnid simply states, sorry, but she already has an appointment with another bot in your prison program. But can't blame a girl for trying to be peaceful. And so she steps aside and simply states, you may have your fun, boys. And so, this is where Tarn peers into the more dark entrance of the ship. And this is where Hunger pounces on him and rips him in half, telling his Predacon brethren to rip and tear until it's done. And that's what we're going to leave it off here, guys. What's going to happen on planet Char? Do the Autobots escape, or do these guys get captured along with them? But that's going to be all for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends, and tell me what you guys think of the first part of this Tarn special. Peace.